Can you start? Sure. Okay, great. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you had a good lunch already. So first of all, let me welcome Five Men's Wife. Thank you for coming here. Yeah. So here the topic today. Before I start topic, I'll just say about our company. Sarpan Consulting is working on Odoo ever since it was tiny ERP, long back since 2007. Maybe version 3 or 4 was there, and that time we started working on Odoo. So ever since then, every time when we come for the Odoo experience talk, we always wish to come up with something new, something unique, something hatke. So here we are ready. So just wish to know, I believe everyone might have tried virtual reality glasses.
Yeah.
Possibly. Okay. Have you? Okay. Great. So we as a solution oriented company giving solution to the various industries, one of the manufacturing clients came to us. Those manufacturing people, they are working on elevator industry. When they are making elevators, they used to give to the they used to go to the customers. The customer used to give them very much number of suggestions that we want this way the lift car has to be designed. This should be the panel for the touch. This should be the view for the marble for the outside and so on. And always in such production stuff, there is always a gap of communication happening when you are supposed to make a chair and you are making a swing. Such thing always happens in such a production industry. So I recall one of the greatest men for India, the father of nation, Mr. Gandhi has said that the strength does not come from the physical capacity, but it comes from an indomitable will. It means we had a willpower that let's solve a problem for the industry, and let's discuss what are the problem statement each industry has and how we can solve this using VR. Not only an elevator industry, but it could be an interior design industry where a customer wishes to see something before it is actually there physically. So that thing emerged us in our mind that okay, let's start something as a VR based solution for virtual reality. We have already implemented this solution for one of the elevators in India. I will show you the live video as well, then we will go into the VR world. Yeah, so when we started, there were various challenges coming into the picture. The first challenge was expectation versus reality. Everything looks very good in the picture. Oh, wow, nice images, things going faster, things going beautiful. But when you start using it, you might be having a trouble like, hey, lift is good, but somehow the layout is not nice, there is a scratch happening and so on. So we had a trouble that what customer expects manufacturer to make is different from the reality what is on the design. Second thing is the communication gap between the designing and production team. Design team is always unique and they always have some different ideas in mind, making something very innovative. But when it goes to the production, there are challenges coming in. The production cannot always make what design team has imagined. So that is always a gap. So we are trying to remove this gap with the solution. Then there was a problem of high cost to refinish and reassembling. Something has already been created. Now customer comes, hey, I want some changes. So let's say something like a car of a lift, we call it a car. It's very difficult to redesign, refinish and rechange a lot of stuff. So there is a very high cost inside it. High cash flow required for stockable goods. Yeah, you have XYZ amount of lift to be created, elevator to be created, but you don't know how much amount of something would be needed without a proper cash flow forecast. Then it is again a very high demand difficulty people have in this. Again, high storage cost. More items you get into your warehouse, again there is high storage cost coming on the sample modeling, because one of the sample model you make, you might fail. Again you make sample, you might fail, because customer is never going to be happy so swiftly. So we made a solution that we said, okay, now let's show something to the customer even before it is ready. So we made a solution based on VR, virtual reality. Everything is about experience. The similar thing you can do using a software, using ERP, using anything, using a simple video. But if a customer has an experience, that adds a delight. Wow, the way your pipeline finishes and you just get a wow, you are done. The reconciliation finishes, you get, wow, you are done. So that experience is very important for end users when they are having something to be bought. Same way, when you are going for a construction site and you are having a multi-story building, and you even the building is not built, you might still want to see, hey, how would be my 7th floor with a garden gallery and with the view to the river? Yes, we can do using VR. We can just have a VR glasses on, make a 3D modeling of the whole construction building, and you can see, okay, even before the building is built, you can see how my view would look. So it is just an imaginary. Then we have an Odoo integrated VR application that will generate BOQ after the customer order. Once the customer chooses something of his will, of his design from the VR glasses, everything will be sent to Odoo, and it will become a BOQ, will become an order. Then based on that, there will be automated quotation creation. They will make to order BOM as well. They will increase profitability because you have low investment to be done. Everything is as per the design asked by the customer. And then whatever has been chosen by the customer from the VR glasses, from the imaginary picture, those photos will be clicked and sent to the design and production team. That's what we have done. So even the production team will say, okay, when the customer wanted something to be designed, how exactly it was looking like. That's what we have came across. So yeah, and then we'll talk about the benefits. I will just show you the video we have.
Here in this video, we are going to present how virtual reality will help manufacturing industry. In this video, we are going to present live case study of one of our customer into the elevator industry. They have various model of elevator, and each and every model will have multiple variants of interior design. So you can choose between different model, and those model will be visible on front of you. You can see on front of you, you can have multiple models. So customer will first choose the model, and then once he chooses the model, he will walk through the elevator. And once he will be into the elevator, he can experience the whole interior of the elevator, and he can choose between different variants and options available into the elevator. So now we are into the elevator. You can see the elevator option. You can see the flooring, the ceiling, and all the different options are there. And then here you can see different material options. So now customer want to change some option of.
In this elevator, we have an option to change the copper material, the wood material over there, the marble size, and also the pattern of the leather, and also the lift structure we have. Let's say what kind of buttons you want. So we can add more options as well in the future whenever needed. So this is just a proof of concept we made for one.
Of wooden, you can see the leather material, the copper material. If they want to change, they can change. At the flooring, they have a marble right now, and if they want to change this to carpet like this, you can see it's changed. And now he can experience the interior. Once he confirms that he likes what he designed here, and he want to confirm this, he can just click this camera button here, and it will take 5-dimensional photograph of the elevator interior and send it to Odoo. So now the elevator model, all the interior materials choose will be automatically generated as a quotation in Odoo after clicking this camera button, and then inside Odoo they will see the final quote with the pricing, and all the photos will be attached with the quotation. And as soon as we confirm and validate the sale order, it will generate the manufacturing order with same detail of bill of material, and all the photographs will be attached. So that will help speed up the quotation generation process. There will be no mistake in the quotation. All the materials customer choose, and the final photographs will be there in the manufacturing order. That will help manufacturing manager to build the final model of the elevator. Rest of the benefit for integrating this virtual reality with manufacturing and sales in the Odoo will be presented in our presentation. Thanks for coming, and thanks for watching the video. consulting services.
Yeah, so that's what we made, and when we made this for a customer, not only the customer was delighted, we had a very big, the way it is an Odoo experience, there was a very big expo for elevator industry. When we presented this solution over there was a huge round of people queuing up, hey, I want to experience this, hey, I want to experience this. So that's what, because this is just about something new as an experience. That is the unique selling point for this solution we have. Yeah, the benefits of the solution, as we can read, it's just customization before the construction. Before something is being built, we can customize as per our need. Then when customer gets something exactly what he expected, that's a different satisfaction he will receive, and that delivery we will have. Then again, accuracy in pricing and material, we know exactly how much material we are supposed to buy to make the elevator design and so on. Same can apply on construction and interior design as well. Then we have fast sales cycle, there is no communication gap, and we can launch easily many variants and generate more sales. We can, other than this, we can give choices on whether we want a screen. You know, nowadays every elevator has a screen, a video, the way in, maybe if you see in New York on one trade center there is a whole screen, also in Dubai as well. So you can choose where you exactly you want the screen. Then nowadays next level elevators again come up with the option that even the lift is closed, there are monitors like this that will allow people to communicate, hey, my elevator is closed, help me out. Then there is a response, hey, wait, don't worry, don't get under panic, we will be having this solution, do this manually, blah blah blah. So such additional options a customer can expect, and we can give using the VR experience on the top of it. This is what will happen when the order will be created from the VR experience. The customer clicks a submit, all the photos exactly how the design has to look like will be submitted to the sales order, and based on that the relevant BOQ will be generated and the manufacturing order can be triggered. As simple as that it could be. This is the exhibition we did, and you might imagine what it could be. So that's it from our end. Thank you.
So,
Please.
Jay, when are you creating the bill of materials in this process? Is it after I would customize the elevator and I pick my materials? At that point, when I click confirm, it creates a new bill of materials, or where does that?
No, when you from the VR experience screen, there is built on Unity 3D. From their screen, when you choose the right components of right design, that components will be actually a product. It will come with properties. So the same thing will go on a sell order. Based on the sell order properties, it will go to the MRP, and it will.
Okay, so the bill of materials is created later, but it does create a sales order.
Yeah, first.
With those materials, and then.
Yes, because that's what will save the cost. What exactly you are supposed to be creating, it has to know what raw material you will require.
Okay.
So you can see it's a dynamic bill of material being created based on the sales order.
Got it.
Any questions, please? We can apply this into various industries, as I said, not only elevator, but into education industry as well, into museum industry as well. Imagine I'm a regular visit to Belgium, but I have never been successful to go Switzerland, for example. This could be an idea for you. Imagine one of the countries is not attracting lot many visitors. What you can do, you can make, your company can make a VR experience. Let's say my grandmother who cannot visit even US or even Europe, if we can make a video of Grand Palace or Eiffel Tower or so, complete user experience in VR, and this would be something great selling point for your company, for the industry. Please.
The VR experience that you're talking about, you have a separate software that you build the VR experience on.
Yeah, VR is built on Unity 3D Studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's an application that's on Odoo, or?
No, right now, yeah, it's a separate application. Based on whatever experience you do, we get the information from the VR screen that's built on Unity 3D on C# actually. Then when you submit a button, the C# calls the Odoo API and stores everything within Odoo.
An API.
It's an API of Odoo to be called up from C#.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, the products that you create in the VR experience, you would identify those products in the.
Definitely, it's a two-way thing. First, you get a master data from Odoo to the VR screen,
Correct, yeah.
Whatever master data is there, you configure, it will be shown on the screen.
So it's a configuration thing for
Configuration, very much configurable. Yeah, it's dynamic. You can use the same VR for any other thing.
So if you have a new option for the elevator, all you have to do is add that new option
On the master data only.
on the master.
Yeah, that's what the beauty of the system would be. Please.
Let's say we have a manufacturer manufactures machinery
Okay.
and they wish to take this into use. Would it require that they work with your company to design the videos and design the 3D experience and then integrate that with Odoo?
Yeah, that's what we have to do. You have to give us a design, at least a rough idea how the way I showed the elevator screen. You have to say what are the options you want your customers to see. We will design the Unity 3 video and the experience based on that. Other than VR, which is Oculus Rift, we have Leap Motion as well, where people can click, and the way people use games and just swords and football, they play on the VR. Same way, we have such deep motion controllers who will catch the action, they will perform the videos. That's a possibility. Yeah. Any other questions?
So within manufacturing, I mean, this is very outward facing. This is something a customer would use as really kind of an advanced configurator. I could see a use for this internally in manufacturing for like QA, QC departments, where they may be, as they're going through some manufacturing process, using virtual reality to check fit, dimensions, whatever other quality sorts of things too.
Yeah, sure.
So, so I think, I love this, but I think I think the next step is maybe even bring it more to like workers inside of a manufacturing system as well.
Yeah, sure. I think
Really good.
the way AI has already entered into Odoo version 13, we are adding VR, and maybe someone would come with, we are already doing AR as well. Let's just have a glass and you can change the color of the wall, change the things, augment the whole reality. This is virtual reality, it doesn't exist, please.
Yeah, it's answering him. I think more than for that, for QA and this, more than virtual reality is augmented reality. It's,
Yes.
you take a real piece of something and you can take measures and you can process that.
Yes.
But in virtual
Exactly.
reality, you are simulating the reality. So you need it when you don't have the good. But in augmented reality, you have got the good, so you can.
Yeah, we additional to this, we have added an AR application, which right now some kids don't know how the lion will roar, how the tiger will jump. So we have just a photo. Just the way we have a photo. From the photo, I just put my mobile, and over there, in the between the mobile and the stamp, you will see a big lion and tiger roaring. So this is augmenting the reality. We already have done this for education industry.
They are also using for teaching.
Yeah,
For teaching
same.
how to repair
Yeah, it's an education app we already have live.
and that, because you are in front of the piece, you don't know how to. It's someone who doesn't know what to do with that, and the system is telling now watch this, take this measure, not make this, and they are guiding the people to repair the piece, and it's
Yeah.
very good for newcomers.
Yeah, I think we have to stop because the guy is instructing me. Thank you very much everyone for attending.
That was really nice, Jay.
And you can experience the VR. We have a live screen over there. That's a IP. If you have a VR camera, you can do it right now. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Winan Tastenoa. I'm a business analyst at Odoo in Belgium, and the following next hour will be about what's new in accounting V13. So what are we going to see? First of all, a little introduction from what happened the last year at Odoo and how that we managed all those new features that are arriving. After that, enough theory, I will jump into Odoo and to show you most of the new features. I have only an hour, so I will try to show you most of them. Before we end, I have a little small talk about if there is any accounting firms within you, about our offer, about our offer that we have, especially for accounting firms. And I'll try to do fast as possible that you can ask any questions you want. So first of all, as an introduction, I would like to start by explaining what happened in the last year, because I think it has been a particular year for accounting. About 8 months ago, we tried to launch Odoo as a software for accounting firms. We tried to get them on board and use Odoo as a software to use for their own accounting, but also to do the accounting for their own customers. But it was not just the purpose of proposing them Odoo as an accounting software, it was also the purpose to get their feedback about what was missing in Odoo to do their job, their business, and to do it as most efficient as possible. So I'm very proud to announce that in Odoo 13 we have more than 108 new features for accounting, and this is most of the time thanks to the collaboration of the accounting firms that we work with. So there is too much to explain in 1 hour, so I tried to group most of the features together in the biggest topics. So first of all, we did some improvements with the reconciliation. Before, it could be sometimes difficult to reconcile open amount on customers and suppliers. It could be difficult to find exactly how to reconcile open payments and invoices for one specific customer or supplier. Now in Odoo 13 you will see that in the partner report, in your aged balance, in your aged receivable, aged payable, you will have the option to reconcile your customer immediately from the report, and you will have the reconciliation screen only for this customer, so you can start reconciling immediately from the report. Second improvement for reconciliation is the bank reconciliation widget. It already existed, we just changed a little bit the views, but most of all we made it easy to split partially one payment to different invoices. Before it could be difficult because you had to change the bank statement, have multiple lines in there, one line per invoice. Now you can easily allocate one payment to several invoices at a time. Yeah, is everybody hearing me at the back of? Okay, I'm sorry for that. I'll try to speak up a little bit. Next change that we did is about the reconciliation models. It could look like a small feature, but we added actually 2 fields in the reconciliation model. We have the transaction type and we have the note field. It could look like a small thing, but what are we going to do if you import electronic bank statements? Before we only used some of the information in there. We had the initial balance, the ending balance, the amount, the date, a label, and maybe if we could recognize the partner, we added the partner. Now with this note field, we tried to get all the information in your electronic bank statement and we concatenate it together in one new field, the note field. Thanks to this note field, you can have reconciliation models on this note field. I give you an example. If you have a customer with multiple points of sales, if they pay in every point of sale with their own bank terminal, there is a serial number linked to the bank terminal. If you upload the CODA in Belgium or if you upload a CAMT file, potentially this serial number will be in your import. We will concatenate this together in this node field so that you have reconciliation models on there, and you could ask Odoo immediately, automatically, to say if it's coming in from this terminal, book it on this revenue account, and so on. Next one is the QR code. We already had it for customer invoices. We added also for supplier payments. So now, if you are in Odoo and you want to register a payment on supplier invoices, a QR code will pop up. If the information is available in Odoo, you can just scan and pay your customers, your suppliers, immediately from Odoo. We also added a new bank statement report, which is actually a PDF template that we created and that we always use again, and we take all the information from the bank statement, we put it in this template. I think it's a nice feature for you to have an overview everywhere in Odoo immediately of the PDF file of the bank statement. Last but not least, before when you were uploading electronic bank statements, you had to do it one at a time. Now in Odoo 13 you can import them in batch. You can have multiple ones at a time, so you could, for example, import your Coda files or your Kent files for a whole month or a whole year if necessary. So that's for bank reconciliation. Next, assets. We refactored completely the way how we handle assets in Odoo. First of all, before, when you wanted to create an asset, you needed to do it from a vendor bill. You had no choice. You had to choose the category in the line, and the asset would be created based upon the category. We completely changed this, and it's now all linked to the account. So you don't have to select the asset type anymore in your vendor bill. If you configure well your chart of account, you just select the correct account, and we will create the asset based upon the account that you've chosen. First of all. Second, we added a new asset report. I think it's something that was asked for a lot of people, to have a beautiful overview, if I can call it like this, a beautiful overview of all your assets at a specific period in time. Now you will have an overview at every moment of your assets, grouped by account, have the acquisition amount, have the depreciation amount, and a book value at the end. Next is revaluations. We added this functionality to the asset module so that you can now have positive and negative revaluations immediately linked to the asset. So if you bought, for example, a piece of art for 1,000 euros and it gains in value in the future, you can now link this revaluation immediately to the asset, and it will be regrouped on the asset itself, and in the asset report it will stay on the same line of the asset so that you have an overview of it linked to the asset. If it's a negative revaluation, of course, it's an exceptional loss, so also this is handled the same way. The last functionality is the sell or dispose journal entry that we create. You already had the button before, but when you clicked on it, actually Odoo just took into account the remaining depreciation that needed to be depreciated and depreciated it as once as an exceptional depreciation. What you can do now, that first of all, we had the split between disposal and a sale. If you have a sale, you can link the sale invoice to the asset, and we will not just have an exceptional depreciation, we will also calculate the loss or the gain of the asset. So first of all, you give in the account for the exceptional loss or the exceptional gain. That's calculated based upon your book value, but we will also reverse the acquisition amount and the already depreciated amount on your balance sheet, so that your assets are not too high anymore because all assets have been removed thanks to the reverse. All of this in one journal entry that we propose immediately by Odoo. Next one is everything about tax. We added a lot of change into the tax configuration. First of all, and the biggest change for tax is the way how you configure your tax codes. Before, it could be very, very complicated sometimes to configure difficult tax codes. If you have, for example, a tax code that had an impact on several accounts, you had to create multiple taxes and group them together, and it could be very complicated for persons to configure it. When you go to the a tax right now, in the configuration screen, when you open it, you will have everything in one view, and you can just select the percentage on the same account. If you have a tax report in your localization, you can immediately set up the codes of the tax report, and everything is in one view, very easy to configure. We also added a warning for partner VAT duplicates. So if you create now a contact, a new customer, a new supplier, if there is already one existing with the same tax number, Odoo will warn you. It could be interesting in some countries because when you have to send out a legal statement with all transactions linked to one VAT number, potentially you could have two, so it's a little bit risky. You can also calculate in fields now, so if you have some basic formulas like multiplying, dividing, etc., it's immediately in Odoo, so you don't have to need your calculator next to you anymore. You can just do it in a field and Odoo will calculate for you. The last feature that we changed there is about the tax closing follow-up. So first of all, what we do now is that we added a new tax log date. The log dates already existed, but we added the tax log date, which makes it possible to close a tax period and to avoid you to have some accounting entries in a closed tax period. So first of all, we have this. Secondly, what is new as well is that we propose the tax reconciliation. So for the period that you're trying to close, we will see all open amounts of tax, reconcile them together, and calculate one amount due or to recover from your tax authorities. So we will book this one amount on your balance sheet. So if you do the payment to the tax authorities or you receive the payment back, you can just reconcile it with one amount. You will never end up anymore with a lot of tax accounts with high amounts on there, and they will stay there forever. The second, last thing about this tax period is if you want to create now a new invoice in a closed tax period, Odoo will warn you that the tax period has been closed, and he will propose you to book the entry, to book the invoice on the first day of the next tax period that's open. So you don't have to change the accounting date anymore yourself. Odoo will propose the first date of the next period that is open. So your accounting entry will be in the next VAT date, in the next VAT period, but the date of the invoice remains the same, of course. We've put a lot of change in the way how to modify and edit moves. I call it the change moves in one click. So first of all, in every list view that you have, and it's not only in accounting, it's everywhere in Odoo, you can with one click export the view that you have and export it immediately in Excel. You don't have to select anything anymore. You go by the action button, export it. You need to know the technical names of the field. You had some ID somewhere, you don't know exactly what you're exporting. Now it will be exactly the view that you see. You can use the group by functionalities, the filters, and it will exactly export the data that you see. The next feature about that is the suspense account management and the moves to check. So first of all, the moves to check are available now everywhere. In every accounting entry, you can log an accounting entry as being to check. So that, for example, your chief accountant can review them later and have an overview on the dashboard of all the moves that he needs to check. This is linked also to the suspense account management. If you're in your bank statement and you have a lot of payments and you don't know exactly what to do with, but you want your bank statements updated, you want your balance sheet updated, you can easily put them on a suspense account. And also there, from your dashboard, you will have an overview of all moves on the suspense account, so that when you click on it, you will reconcile exactly the amounts that are on your suspense account. Odoo will replace the suspense account by the reconciliation with the invoice or with the account you want to post it on. In all the reports, you can now sort by column. It's a small feature that we added. If you have the document management application, you can also now export and save your reports in documents so that you can share them with others, or that you can keep them there for later, that you keep trace of a specific report. You will also see that in some list views, the general ledger, the chart of account, you have now a hierarchy on the left side. So you can, for example, go to your general ledger and filter on all accounts that start with 10, so that everything is immediately filtered on the account that you want. You don't need your general ledger anymore, always with all the entries there. The biggest change in there is to push the changes in batch. So if you made an error on a huge amount of accounting entries, you can just select them all, change the account in one, and we will push it to all the other accounts that you selected. And finally, we added a chatter everywhere now. Before you only had a chatter in the customer invoice, in the vendor bill. Now you have in every accounting entry a chatter, so that you can add attachments to miscellaneous entries as well. Last but not least, we have some general accounting improvements. The first one is that we added off-balance sheet accounts. I don't know if everywhere in the world it's necessary, but if, for example, you want to record a debt in the future that's not sure yet, and you want to record it in your accounting, but you don't want to affect your balance sheet and your profit and loss account, you can process it now on off-balance sheet accounts, and it will never appear in your balance sheet or profit and loss accounts, but it will be in your accounting, and you can use it for reporting purposes. We already had deferred revenues. Now we have also deferred expenses to spread your costs in the future. Also there, the way how we handle it has been changed, the same way as for assets. It's completely based upon the account that you use. It's not anymore linked to a category, so you don't have to select it in the line anymore. If you configure well your chart of account, the deferred expense or deferred revenue will be created based upon your journal entry. A nice new feature that we have is the accrual accounting. I think Anthony already explained it during the keynote, but imagine your accounting year ends on the 31st of December. Of course, a lot of invoices will arrive in January that still depend on the period, the accounting year before. Before, you had to create the manual provision, put them on your balance sheet, reverse it the year after. Now you can just book your invoices normally, select them after, and with one click, you create an accrual based upon all the invoices you selected. So basically what Odoo will do is create a provision in the period you want, so that the expense and the revenue is in the correct period, and he will change the expense and the revenue account of the original invoices by the same accrual account that you use for your accrual. He will match them together so that you don't even need to reverse the accrual anymore. Finally, we already had the upload and the OCR functionality for vendor bills. We also added it for the customer invoices, so that for people that have, for one reason or another, their customer invoices outside of Odoo, they can import them as well in mass, the same way as they do for vendor bills. We have a new consolidation and ventilation application, which I'm not going to discuss today because there was another talk about it. And finally, for our Belgium customers, I think there are some people in the room that will be very happy with this. We have finally added the Winbooks Easy Import, which basically is one of the accounting softwares most used in Belgium. And thanks to this import now, we can take over nearly all, not the assets, but we can take nearly over all data from Winbooks so that it's immediately imported in Odoo. So a lot of changes, but most of them, actually all of them, are linked to the accounting refactoring that has been done during the year. What is this accounting refactoring? Actually, the biggest part of it is a little bit technical. Yeah?
Just go back for a second.
Yeah, sure. You want me on the picture as well?
Yeah, okay. Smile.
So the biggest change in the accounting refactoring is a little bit technical. Before you had a model for invoices, you had a model for journal entries. The problem with this is the journal entry was created based upon the invoice. When you validated the invoice, you had the journal entry. The problem was that if you change the journal entry, the invoice was not updated. So there was a lot of confusion sometimes that if you reverse a journal entry linked to an invoice, the invoice stays in an open. So sometimes people were lost and you had some externals and externals and externals and you don't know anything what was linked to the invoice anymore. We just took the two models and we merged them together. So if you change a journal entry from an invoice, you change the invoice. So if you go in configuration, in the modification of a journal entry linked to an invoice, you will not be in the journal entry anymore, you will be in the invoice. So you will update the invoice directly if you change a journal entry of an invoice. We think, at least we hope, that it will, thanks to this, there will be way more data consistency because you will not have a discrepancy anymore between the accounting entry and the invoice. So that brings me to the next point. We added also a tab now on the invoice, journal items, because now accountants can immediately see when they validate an invoice what will be the impact in accounting. Before they didn't know. You validate the invoice, it creates the journal entry, but the journal entry was already created when you validated it. Then you have to change it, go back to draft, etc. Now, before validating the invoice, you see the impact in the accounting, you can change it if you want before validating the invoice. Yeah. Okay, that was it. Also, the easy tax configuration that I explained is part of this refactoring. But also the biggest change in there is that thanks to this, in the list view, you can now change your journal entries immediately. Before you had to jump to the invoice, change the journal entry, etc. Now, if you do a review of your tax period, for example, you see all the entries. You can immediately change them from the list view so that everything is updated. Last one is the augmented performance, but I'm not going to explain this, but a little bit technical. We also added some new journals so that you can easily see what you're modifying. Enough theory. Let's just go into Odoo, and I'll try to show you with some simple flows most of the changes that has been done during the year. So I start by creating a customer invoice. You will see now that there is an upload button for customer invoices as well. Of course, I have one here. I'm going to open it. I'm going, because in my configuration, my OCR has been put as automatically. Odoo will immediately start proceeding this invoice through the OCR. The status will update automatically at least every half an hour, but you can of course update it manually, and it will update all invoices that are currently used in the OCR. So what's new about the OCR? The biggest change is that if the customer does not exist, and we have the VAT number or the tax information into the invoice, Odoo will immediately create the customer itself. Okay? So this customer was not existing before. I just created it by sending the invoice through the OCR. The biggest change between last year is also that we try, it's not always perfect, but more and more it will be, we try to scan also the lines so that the label is filled in as well. Okay? Our next change that you see here, and it's in every list, you can now select the columns that you want to see. In a customer invoice, it's not a lot. It's just 2 columns. You can change the product, the tax, but you will see that in other list views, potentially you have a lot of new columns that you can add, and you can customize your view based upon what you want to see. So now let's change this invoice and make it rent for 1 year. This is a deferred revenue. So I create a deferred revenue account before. I'm going to post it on this account. I'm going to compute the price. So let's say that I multiply 12 by 1000. Odoo immediately calculates so that you don't have to do it anymore. I'm going to leave the second line. If I'm going to post this invoice now, just by choosing the correct account, Odoo will create a deferred revenue based upon this invoice. This new Smart button will immediately show you one or more deferred revenues that you create based upon the invoice, and you can immediately click on there and get into the deferred revenue. Now I configured the deferred revenue that it must be draft at the creation. That's why it's red. That means that the automatic reversal of your deferred revenue will not be computed for the moment by Odoo. It's just an option that you can choose. When I click on there, I get into the deferred revenue. So it's in draft for a moment. If I confirm it, Odoo will calculate the reversals based upon the model that I linked to the invoice. You don't have to link a model to the account, but you can. If it's always another model, you can just not link a model and select the model in the asset in the deferred revenue itself. So here it created 12 reversals based upon the model that I linked to it. So that's new, but what is definitely new is that we create the draft entries as from the moment that you create the deferred revenue. I will show you with the asset why it's important, but before, the journal entries, the accounting impact, was only created on the moment that we had to create the journal entry. Now we create everything as from the moment that we created deferred revenue. So if you want to see the impact in the future, you can just go to your balance sheet, include unposted entries, and you will see the impact immediately. Okay? So that's for customer invoice. Let's go for supplier invoice. I have another one. And let's see what's new for supplier invoices. Also here, you will send it immediately through the OCR, try to recover as much as possible. I'm going to update the status. Also here, you can change the columns if you want. Once I defined the supplier, also here, the supplier was not existing. He just created it thanks to the OCR. We take over the label, we take over the price. And if the taxes are known, we also scan the taxes as well as the currency. Now, one thing that I didn't show in the customer invoice was this new tab, journal items. You can see now that immediately the journal item, the impact in the accounting is calculated based upon the creation of the invoice. So the invoice is already a draft journal entry. So without posting it, you can also already have it in your accounting as a draft entry. Let's go for a car for this one. And here I have an account of a fixed asset. A car for 5,000 euros. And by changing this, also my journal entry has been changed. Okay. When I post this one, I'll start again. So it was a car, fixed asset, 5,000. Okay, everything is computed. Yeah, last thing I didn't show, before a lot of people were struggling sometimes if they have a real rounding on their VAT, you can now change it immediately here on the bottom of the invoice. So it will group actually the total amount grouped by tax code. So here is only one line, but if you have like 20 lines, sometimes you are rounding, now you can do it immediately on the total amount. So when I post this invoice, because I've chosen the correct account again, it will create me an asset. Same way as for the deferred revenue, it's in red because it's in draft, I have to confirm it. I'm going to confirm it. Once I confirmed it, based upon the model that are linked to the fixed asset account, all my journal items are created as well. And that leads me to the asset report. If I take another screen, I have now this new asset report, which will take over all the fixed assets that I created it. You will have some characteristics first, acquisition date, first depreciation, the method, the rate. You will have some info about the value of the car. You will have some info about the depreciations, and finally the book value. Because the draft entries are created in draft as from the moment that you create the asset, you can simulate and have a change between unposted and posted entries. Okay. So this is about the supplier invoice. We had a customer invoice, we had a supplier bill. Let's go into a miscellaneous entry. You can create it still the same as before. Let's say that we create a journal entry for salary August 2019. What's new about this is the first time that you link, that you create a line item, you have to put in the account. So it's salary expenses. Okay, I tab, let's say 100 euros. Now if I switch to the second line, Odoo will immediately fill in the same account so that you can go fast if you have entries with always the same account. And you see that it will always compute the balance in the credit side so that the entry is always balanced. Now if I have a second second salary, 200 euros, he will remove it. And if you jump to the second line, again he will compute. So I have 300 euros. And finally, I have the balance. Let's say it's an invoice to receive. And the balance is immediately computed. So when I post this one, this is a little change that we added to the creation of miscellaneous entries. Now, let's see, I jump to the general ledger. And in the general ledger, you can now see that at the left side, I have the hierarchy as I told you about. So if I go to my salary expenses, I click on the accounts here, 21, and I can immediately see only my salary expenses. Let's imagine you were wrong. You selected the wrong expense account. You can now just select your entries, and you will see that by selecting the entries, some fields become editable. So if you selected the wrong account, you can change it to expense, for example, and Odoo asks you if you want to update all the lines that you've selected. So thanks to this, you can easily change a lot of accounts at once so that the account is changed to all the entries at once. That leads me to the following feature, is that you will see this little export button everywhere in Odoo at every list view. Thanks to this, you can change, group by your view however you want. You can add the columns you want. You can do whatever you want, hide columns, add columns. And thanks to one click, you will just create an Excel file that will take over the exact view as you have. It's way more easy than having the export before. Okay, let's jump back. And let's go to the sales invoices. I had some sales invoices in this database already, and when I come at the end of the year and I'm reviewing, because now I have everything in one screen, I can see immediately that, for example, in 2019, I created an invoice for services 2018. It's a little bit late, normally it's a little bit sooner, but let's say that we're in September, and you want to create a provision, an accrual for this one. You just select the line, go to the action button, create an accrual entry, and you have to say when do you want to recognize this revenue. It's in September for the moment, so because it's services of December, I would like to change it to December. Select December, I have to select my accrual account, which is a balance sheet account, and you select the journal you want to post the entry. When you create the entry, Odoo will do two things at a time. First of all, it creates a journal entry, your provision. You will see that it created now a provision in the month of December, and if I open it, you will see that in the reference we take over the invoice number so that you always know for what this accrual was for, and you can see that he put it now the revenue in the correct period, and the counterpart is the accrual. Now if I click on the reconciled entries, I can see that it's reconciled with the invoice, my original invoice that I had in September. And if I want to change this now, as I told you before, the journal entry is becoming the invoice, so if I change this, I jump immediately to the invoice. And you can see that we updated the account to the accrual account, so that it's not in your revenue anymore in September, but that it's on the accrual account, and we match those two together so that you don't have to do anything anymore. So that's it for manual journal entries. Let's go to the bank. Normally, I hope most of you, I don't know if most of you, but in an ideal world, you're synchronized with your bank. But let's say I want to import my electronic statements. Before, you could only select one at a time. Now, you can select multiple upload bank statements at a time. So you can select as many as you want. I'm not going to do it here, just want one, just to show you the impact of the reconciliation screen. This is a CODA file. It's specific for Belgium, but it works the same way, CSVs or CAM files, whatever you want. So the first one is an outgoing payment of 435 euros. I don't know what to do with it. I'm just going to book it on the suspense account. This is just a button I configured, and I linked an account to it. I validate this one, and the next is an incoming payment of 3,044 euros. I know it's about Odoo, so I select the first invoice open of Odoo. Immediately it switches to Odoo, so I see everything else that's open on Odoo. So I can now add multiple invoices to the same payment, but of course I have to change because it's only 3,000 euros and not 13,000 euros. So I want to allocate first of all 1,000 euros to the first invoice. I want to allocate 1,000 euros, 1,000 euros to the second invoice, and the balance I want to allocate to the last one. So now I have allocated one payment to 3 different invoices just by changing it in view, which was impossible before. For the rest, I have 3 other payments I don't know what to do with. I'm just going to post them all on the suspense account so that my bank reconciliations are completely done, my balance sheet is updated, and everything that I don't know how to reconcile is on the bank statement, is on the suspense account. When I jump to the desktop of accounting, I can see now for my bank journal that I have 4 moves to check. Those are the 4 movements that I posted on the suspense account. When I click on there, I'm immediately redirected to the same reconciliation field, the same reconciliation screen, and I can immediately reconcile the open amounts on my suspense account as from here. Basically what Odoo will do is replace the suspense account by the invoice or the account you're reconciling it on. So let's jump into the bank statement now to show you what's new there. I have one bank statement that I created with the upload, and you will see immediately that the screen has been changed. I have a new transaction type and I have a new note field. So if you want to hide it, of course, you can do it the same way as everywhere else. You can just change it and show only the columns you want. Now this note field, you can see immediately there is way more information in there as on in the label, and with the reconciliation models you can get everything out of there and have reconciliation models linked to a notes field. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to change the computed balance with the ending balance so that I can validate my bank statement. Because when I validate the bank statement now, Odoo will create, based upon this template, this PDF template that we put it in there, a bank statement report so that at every time in your bank statement you have an overview of the complete bank statement so that you can check it. It's more readable maybe than the bank statement in Odoo. So that was it for bank reconciliations. Next one is the tax report. So tax report is now linked to a miscellaneous journal. If I click on a tax report, I will immediately arrive in the correct tax report that is open. You can now say that you're monthly or a quarterly tax, that you have monthly or quarterly taxes, and you can configure a warning so that it will create an activity so that you know the deadline of your tax report. So when I click on here now, I arrive in my tax report. So I'm in September because I have to close September when during the month of September, I have a lot of invoices, sales invoices, purchase invoices, and they are all grouped now per tax code. Of course, this is the generic tax report. If you have another tax report in your localization, it will be the one of the localization. Now, you have a new button here to close the tax period, to close the journal entry. When you click on there, basically Odoo will check all open amounts on tax accounts for the specific period of September, reconcile them all together, and calculate one amount due to recover from the government. Here you have $1,669 to recover. So basically it will update all the accounts on your balance sheet and compute one amount due or to recover that you can reconcile with an outgoing or incoming payment. When you post this one, same way as we did with bank statements, we will add a little bit as everywhere, we will add the tax report immediately to the accounting entry as well, so that it's available at every time if you're checking it later, and it will be available everywhere in your accounting. So also here, it's right here. So that leads me to the log dates. If I jump into the log dates, I can see now that we have a new tax log date, and it's filled in automatically by the closing of the tax period. Basically, this means that the tax log date is on the 3rd of September, so you cannot create any accounting entry anymore linked with the tax code in September. Of course, if you want to do some manual provisions that are not linked to a tax code, you can do it because there is no other log date. So what does it mean? If I create now a new vendor bill, and I want to post it in September. It's an invoice from Odoo. Going to change the date to September, but let's say it's for some consultancy services. €1,000. I immediately received the warning that there is a tax log date, so that I cannot process this invoice anymore in the closed tax period, but it will prevent me that he will book the accounting date, not the bill date, the accounting date, so the impact on the accounting will be in the first day of the next open period. So when I post this one, you will see that the accounting date of 30 September will immediately change to the 1st of October, because October is the next tax period that's open. If you already closed October as well, it would have been the 1st of November. So we created customer invoices, vendor bills, we did some manual transactions, we had the banks, we had the taxes. Now let's see in the reporting what happens with my H receivable. For example, H receivable, I have some open amounts on customers. You have this new button right here to reconcile, and you see that you can now sort on every column on the report. If I click to reconcile Dell, I'm immediately in the reconciliation screen, and I get everything that's open in Dell, and you can immediately start reconciliating your amounts right here. You can jump back to your report. It's very easy. You just immediately link to the customer you want to reconcile. The last thing I want to show, and I already showed it a little bit during the whole demonstration, is the new journals. You have a new journal, which means that if you want to check your tax period, you can immediately jump into the sales report, which will basically show you all sales invoices, and you have an overview immediately of all journal items. You can easily check, and if you have a tax localization on it, you will see immediately the tax grids in here, so you have in one view an overview of all the accounting impact, and in the edit list view you can change anything, not anything, you can change a lot easily without going every time in the invoice. So the same journals for sales, purchases, bank, miscellaneous, etc. We also have the new general ledger and partner view, and I'm going to use the general ledger to show you a last thing, one of my favorites, but you already saw it. But if I take all accounts, what I did during the presentation, first of all, I created the vendor bill for a car. If I click on the journal item, I have my invoice next to here. I created some customer invoices. If I click on the customer invoice, I have the invoice right here. I closed the tax period, so I did some tax payments. I have the tax return right here. I made some bank transactions. If I click on the bank transaction, I have the bank statement next to here. So everywhere in Odoo, you will still have the attachments always linked to the accounting entry. You don't have to go always in there anymore. And that was it for my demonstration. I don't know how much time I've left. 10 minutes? Perfect. Last but not least, I know the name of the talk has been changed. So first of all, it was for accounting firms, so also a small word for accounting firms. If there is any accounting firm in the room that would like to try working with Odoo for your own accounting or for your customers, we have a special offer for them. It's not new, we already launched it some months ago, but it's still available. It's 100% free. You get the bookkeeping for this. You get a customer dashboard that Anthony showed into the keynote as well, so that you can follow up all tasks of all your customers. You have the banking interface, a little word about that. The banking interface is something that we're struggling with today, but you must know that we will be certified for the new technology DSP2, which is a European regulation, I think, which basically means that banks need to open their doors for software. And once that we will be certified, we can easily get all bank transactions from the banks immediately. So we're trying to do this. We will do it this year or next year, but we will be certified. And then potentially you can connect to all European banks immediately from Odoo, and it will be completely free as well. You receive document management with it. You have also a customer portal so that you can communicate with your customer, share documents, upload documents, and give them access to the database as well. And finally, the hosting and the maintenance is completely into this 100% free offer that we have for accounting firms. It's not linked to Belgium only, so we're looking for accounting firms all over the world. If you're interested, it's not only the offer that is for free, you also have an accompaniment with a consultant like me that is offered as well in order to train you in Odoo and in order to get your first customers up and running into Odoo. If you're interested about it, I would like to send you to our partnership stand, because they will be in charge as your account manager for accounting firms that are interested. So that was it for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions, don't hesitate. Yeah.
When you were on the try to reconcile some items,
yeah,
there was a small icon, the green one.
The green one?
I guess was a dollar bill?
No, it's because my database is in US dollar and the payments were in euro, so it shows you immediately in euro. If you click on it, you see the translation in dollar.
Oh, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you use it as an account, does it integrate with existing customers that are using Odoo?
You can, actually, yes and no. Let's say that what you can do is, if you're an accountant and you have customers already using Odoo, we can add their databases on your portal so that you can have them in the customer overview and connect immediately on their database instead of going to the URL immediately. Okay. Yeah.
Now, normally a suspense account, when you work with stock, like incoming suspense account and outgoing suspense account. The reconcile tool for that one, is there something that's already done for that part? Because a lot of transactions goes over that account.
You're speaking about stock?
Yeah.
This one is not related to stock at all. You just have to see it as a temporary account so that you can reconcile all your bank transactions and that the account of in your balance sheet is updated and that everything that you don't know yet is put it on this suspense account. But it's just a temporary account because it needs to be reconciled with open invoice, etc. It's not linked to the stock.
If you deal with stock inside Odoo,
yeah,
you also have like an incoming
and outgoing
account and an outgoing account.
Yeah.
Normally it's like also a suspense account.
Yeah, it's also called a stock account.
Yeah, but that is not limited to, let's say, 2 transactions.
No.
We have companies that, like, let's say 10,000 transactions in one day goes over there. To reconcile that account, that's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
Because in the end of the year, when the accountant comes or the auditor comes, he says, I want to have a specification.
About what's about the value of your stock then?
It was just to check up in that case. So the account says, I still need to invoice something, but I didn't invoice it yet.
Okay.
And then the auditor wants to check it. So if I got, like, let's say 12 times 10,000 records, I got 120,000.
I must admit, I'm not a stock expert, but I think what you mean, and I would like to send you to one of my colleagues who is more specialized in stock, but I guess that with the stock application and the stock valuation, you can always reconcile this open amount with open amounts in your stock, but maybe it's not what you're looking for, but
we can talk maybe some.
yeah, maybe we can talk, because I'm not sure that I know the correct answer. Yes?
Just a question about
Yes.
the huge modification you made in the accounting with all
The models?
you merged
Yeah.
the invoice and the accounting moves.
Yeah.
Have you worked on the migration tools? No, and when will it be ready?
Can we skip this question? No, it's a good question.
Yeah, because it's really also a huge challenge.
No, of course,
I know that,
of course.
Not so easy.
No, I think it's not easy, and I'm not a technical guy at all. I'm a functional consultant, so I don't have a view on the migration. We will be the first that will migrate to Odoo 13. We also do our accounting in Odoo, so we will be the first that will
Yeah,
migrate
but
to
what we are interested to know if you have planned a date where it will be available.
What, the migration?
Yeah, the migration tools. But
Of our SaaS
when we
database?
start on version 11,
Yeah.
you deliver in October when you have the experience day, and the migration tools is 6 months after. It will be in March.
Okay, yeah, I'm
And
sorry.
then it's
I
quite
don't know the
interesting
answer.
for us to know where it will be located.
I cannot say
Okay,
that. But it's a good question. But
Tomorrow morning you have a
if you
roadmap-
find,
you have
I
a
answer
roadmap
that.
session in
Yeah.
the morning, could be interesting to
It's
have information.
yeah, good. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not part of the migration
Yeah,
team.
no, just
And so I don't know when the scripts will be
have to
ready
know,
to
we have to
migrate.
know.
Yeah, but it's a good question. And don't hesitate to go to the booths of our technical guys, because I'm sure that you will find someone that is in the migration team.
We had a meeting with Antoine Nuvel and
I'm sure that Antoine Nuvel will be able to help you. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm maybe giving the opportunity to someone else first.
Okay. I saw when you on the invoice you can just change the text.
Yeah. You mean the text on the bottom?
On the bottom,
Yeah.
but actually I did a bit testing as well in the journal entries itself as well.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't do is you have a source amount. Let's say you have 21% VAT.
Yeah.
100 euro times 21% is 121.
Yeah.
If I change the 121 to 122, what is the...
No, if you change, you don't change the total amount. You change the line or you change the tax. And the total amount will always be updated based upon your change in the tax or the line items.
Yeah, but if I do a round calculation, so I got on my VAT account 22. So if I divide it by 21 in that case, I'm never going to touch the 100 anymore.
No, but I'm not sure I understand the question again, sorry. No, I mean, if I don't know if, yeah. If you change,
the base amount should change also.
No, we don't update the base amount. The purpose of this, because we compute the total amount based upon the lines and the taxes in there.
So if you only change the tax amount,
Yeah, if you only change the tax amount, we will update the total amount. So it's one or the other.
the base amount should also
No, but the base amount is not
have the
updated.
calculation.
The reason normally the base amount should not be updated because your tax code is correct. It's sometimes with vendor bills that the taxes, how Odoo compute, gives a rounding of 1 cent, for example. And it was very struggling sometimes to change it. So that's why we did it on the bottom of the page. Normally you should not change it, but it's just opportunity that you can. Yeah. But it's. I hope it answers your question. But it's just the total amount that will be updated, not the line. Yes.
You had a 1 cent difference.
Yeah.
Report electronic invoice.
Yeah. So it's a good question. It's for Belgium, I guess. Yeah. The EFFF format is available for Belgium, so you can import them in XML, and all the fields will be filled in. Yeah. Yes.
Just for analytical accounting,
Yeah.
if I have a multi-line with different analytics, and
Yeah.
for us we need to tax by analytics, not only total tax. Is it possible actually?
So.
We have multi-lines in our invoice.
Yeah.
Each line with a different analytic account.
Yeah. And you want to fill in the tax based upon the analytical account?
I need tax by analytics.
You need to fill in the tax code by the choice.
Just one tax code.
Yeah.
Each line has the same tax code.
Yeah.
But I need the detail of tax by analytics. I
don't think we manage
The
it.
detail is true. When you have the details in the end of the invoice,
Yeah.
you have a detail always regrouped by
Tax code?
tax code.
Yeah.
But normally it's not true. In the accounting you need to have a tax code by analytic because you want to split it. It's charge. You need to put the charge on the correct analytic account.
Okay, I have to admit it's the first time that I hear about it. Maybe Alain.
Something that we do manually for the moment.
Okay, but it's good to know. It's country specific or because in Belgium I never heard.
Your tax is charged. If you are not inside the tax systems, that you don't on a non-assujetti.
Right.
Okay. Then at this moment you need to split the tax as a charge.
Yeah. Okay, but that's fine. But was that a question? But it's not by analytical account, huh?
need charge by analytics. So
Okay, I'm going to first answer that and then I'll come back to you. That's why I tried to explain with the easy tax configuration. Before, you had to create multiple taxes, group them together. Now you will see if you open a tax in Odoo 13, you will receive just an overview. You can change a percentage. You can say 50% goes on the account to recover. In your case, it's 0%, of course, but you can put 100% on an expense account. You can put 50% on a private account, 50%. You can change it completely in this new view. But by analytical account, no, I don't think we can do it. But
if it's a charge, it's the same account.
Yeah.
I need all my charge by analytic to analyze it. So if my tax is a charge,
okay, this way you mean. You mean that the tax, which is an expense, must have an analytical account as well.
sometimes VAT
Okay, so I
No, we have to do this manually.
Yeah, you have to change you have to update the accounting.
Split the tax manually.
Does the I don't know, Alain, if you if you create an entry and you have, can we take over the analytical? I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. Huh? No. But it's a good feedback. No, thanks for that. But it's not possible because the VAT you cannot put an analytical account on a VAT amount yet. Yeah. But you have to do it manually afterwards. It cannot be filled in automatically. No, but you can do it now in the journal items view, but you have to do it still manually. So. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Yes, yeah, sure.
Accounting firm.
Yeah.
I'm from Germany. So hello everyone, myself Mohammed Shoaib, and I'm working as a software engineer at Pragmatic. So basically I've been working mainly on integrations in Odoo and mainly with the the predictive analytics stuff. So basically I've tried to implement a way through which we can at least get some level of AI into Odoo. Like we can predict the product stocks, that if we have some product consumption capacity, then what can be consumed in future based on some patterns which we have from the historical data. So my talk is currently I'm trying to introduce to you a basically concept which can be implemented in Odoo. It's not something which can be implemented generically all across Odoo, because there are some products which has patterns, which has some selling patterns, and there are some products which just get sale because of some discounts or we can say some promotional offers. So in that case, it's completely dependent on the data analyst, what they are trying to implement, interpret basically from the data. So let's start. So basically I'll be giving an overview that what this talk is all about, which we have already briefed into, why predictive analytics is necessary or it's important, popular companies who are already using predictive analytics and in which scenarios, what are the features and use of Facebook's profit library, because it's not something which we are doing from our own or it's a custom algorithm. It's something which is already built by Facebook, which Facebook itself is using in production for their different products, and basically we are using their open source library for leveraging analytics in Odoo. Now the next one is advantages of Facebook's profit library, because the stock is based on Facebook's profit library itself. So benefits of forecasting, that what is the necessary benefits you can get from forecasting, why you should need to do forecasting, and implementation of Odoo module, which I have done as a prototype. It's not something which is available for free on App Store, but surely I can contribute as an open source. I have no issues in that. So implementation of Odoo module, I'll show you as a prototype which I have implemented. And in last, surely we can have some Q&As. So predictive analytics, so basically it's a branch of advanced analytics, and currently predictive analytics is very broad term. It includes it includes AI, it includes machine learning, it includes time series forecasting, and it's actually very much broader term. But currently we are focusing only into the forecasting perspective of predictive analytics. So actually predictive analysis itself uses many techniques, and basically it derives from statistical modeling. It's not something new, because from the statistical perspective that was already getting done, but only few people, we can say, who are mathematically sound were able to do some specific tasks of data analysis. But now, since now it's getting implemented into, we can say, the computer age, and this technology is getting accessible by each and everyone. So it's not limited to the people who have specific kind of skill sets. It is basically used to analyze current data and make prediction about the future, which is more important. And it is not something which we can say is applicable to each and every use case or scenario. It basically depends on what you're trying to interpret from the data, because as I said, the module which I have implemented, it's not something generic to all products, because there are products like the rainwares, it gets sold only in rainy seasons. There are winter wares, for example. Those are specific kind of product. They have seasonal patterns basically. So only in specific season you are able to sell more, and in the off season basically you have much stock left in your warehouse. So at Pragmatic, we have basically created a module which is called as Pragmatic Forecaster, which is as of now it's a prototype. The module basically will monitor the current data of product as well as company revenue, thereby forecasting the stock quantity of product based on the duration provided. So like Facebook Profit Library expects you to basically provide it, we can say, the duration for which you want to forecast a particular time series into. So currently, Facebook Profit Library accepts a pandas data frame. If any of you are technical, from technical background, you know we've used pandas a lot for data analysis. It accepts a data frame with the parameters ds and basically m. ds, which is your date time stamp, and basically value, that what is a particular value against that date time stamp. So next is the factors that will affect forecast will be based on user input, like yearly seasonality, country, holidays. These two parameters are already built into the Facebook's Profit Library, and we'll be checking that how we can leverage it. So why predictive analytics? Basically, each and every organization, as I'll be discussing in further slides, that why that how they are leveraging for their particular use cases, and they're eliminating basically the manpower which was required. Predictive analytics in like it's used in detecting fraud. I have not put any data into this because I don't want to just present keep presenting a data. Detecting fraud, optimizing marketing campaigns, improving operations, basically improving operations in your warehouse, that how much stock is necessary for a product to have as of now, that can be predicted basically if you have very strong past data. Basically, if you don't have very strong data, then the algorithm won't be able to learn itself. And reducing the risk. This reducing risk, banks are already implementing through the we can say to the people they are giving the credits. They have their past history, and they are basically able to find out what is the credit risk against those people. So popular companies using predictive analytics. Netflix, we all know that Netflix is currently major player who is implementing AI, and basically all the recommendations which you are seeing, that what you should see next, it's based on your past predictions. And basically, if you don't have the and basically if you are a new user to Netflix, then how Netflix manages to get data to you is basically through the hot start. So hot start is basically when you have data around your geographic area, that what people majorly watches from those geographies are included into those recommendations, so that through that we don't have any cold start problems. Cold start problems means basically when you don't have enough data to make prediction against. Boston Medical is basically using that which it is basically using for staffing, which staffs are free and who can be allocated task, and they have created automated programs which basically allocate staff to proper we can say wards in a medical center. Facebook, so we already know the relationship, the relations which we get, that you might also know this person is entirely based on basically their own algorithms, and they themselves are using Facebook Profit in their production apps. Oracle is using for Oracle AI in clouds. So what is Facebook Profit Library? Because if you are like how many of you are like Python developers here? Can you please raise your hands up? Okay. Okay, so basically Facebook Profit Library can help you. Like you don't need to be a statistics expert. And for example, if a client is looking for a specific use case, that XYZ is a product which I want to make analysis against. Now, to make prediction, you basically need to have a list of questions what you need to answer. If you don't have specific questions, what you're trying to solve, the problem is much more generic, and you won't be able to get enough data against it. Profit Library is a procedure for forecasting time series data based on additive model, where basically it fits yearly, weekly, and daily seasonality patterns plus holiday effects, as I discussed earlier. It works best when you have some time series variations in your data, and you need to have lots of historical data. As much as you have, then the prediction will be more stronger and will have more confidence. Profit is an open source library which is released by Facebook's core data science team. Basically, I have not tried to keep much technical stuff into here, keeping in mind that we have audience from all basically domains. So basically, I'm briefing you about what are this library can be leveraged for actually. Advantages: it's basically tested, it's accurate and fast, it's fully automatic. You just need to pass your historical data into the data frame, which is a pandas data frame, and once you call the fit and the make future data frame method on your data frame, pandas data frame. Basically it will grab you again a data frame which is new, and basically that data frame will consist points where it will show you what it has predicted based on the historical data. And it's really simple. I can show you the code example as well for both of you. To enable forecast, benefits of forecasting, so that organization can remain competitive. It can reduce your inventory cost. Basically, if you know how much stock you should keep and your data is very strong in case, then you'll be having exact stock instead of overstocking or understocking your product, so that you can sell better. Keep customers happy. Like if you are able to supply on demand to the customers, then it's good for your business as well and for customers as well. Helps to predict the future. That it's even very useful in the scenario of revenue. If you have like I have basically an example which shows the data which is forecasted, so we can check the loss point in next slides. So Odoo module, Odoo module is available as pragmatic forecaster. So what parameters it is having? It is having basically select a product. As I told that it should be a product specific analysis, because all products are not fit for analysis, and the product which you are making analysis for should be very much we can say it should have a trend patterns where it is clear that yes, it has some seasonal variations and some country holidays effect as well. Forecast duration, it is number of days for which you want to make a forecast. Yearly seasonality, so basically yearly seasonality we can discuss and entirely in end, because it's much into technical stuff. That is actually the value which will basically implies that how much variations can happen and how much quick. Forecast for, do you want to forecast for product stock or directly revenue? If it is revenue, then there is no need of product, because it is based on company revenue which you are selling, basically the number of confirmed invoices. Do you want to add country holidays into effect? Yes, no, because Profit Library has already built in country holidays. You can take leverage from that. Then if you click on forecast, then basically it will plot your graph. So below is the actually the data which we have supplied, and the highlighted here, if you see this point is actually the predicted one, which is 7 days. So it is showing basically based on the seasonal data that how much is the stock that product should have. We can see the spikes, and just from like if some person is a good mathematician, he can actually analyze that it is having a pattern. Means the library has already detected a pattern. We are already seeing spikes and high spikes and low spikes as well. And similarly for the 7 days, the library has predicted that on which days or on which particular days of a week there will be much need of a product, and which days where it will be not in need. So we have high spikes as well as low spikes for these 7 days, which is predicted one. So the next one, which is like forecast for revenue, that how the revenue can be forecasted. So I'll be showing this. Yeah. So again here we have like I had a company data which basically I got from like a dump on Google. So it basically had itself a growth pattern. Means the company was growing year after year in terms of revenue, not just like only profit. In terms of revenue, the company was growing, and I plotted the data, and I wanted to basically see that where it will be in next 3 years. So you can see it is like it is having the high chances, like based on its past data, it's already increasing. So the library has already predicted that there will be an growth trend for this revenue. But again, it's not necessary that it is 100% accurate, because there are multiple factors, like the economic conditions can be worse and the company will perform bad. So basically there are multiple factors. This is just helping us to make better decisions in terms of company policies. So basically we'll again consider for the seasonality, which helps to predict the future based on seasonality pattern. So seasonality, we can say there are products which are on the shelf which basically sells quickly when particular season comes. So those products should not be kept on stock and should be only made in stock when there is a specific need for them in the duration. So if you are able to just plot the next 1 year, then basically you are having an idea that on which month I should have how much stock of a particular product. So that seasonality is very important to have for particular products. And again, this is only not necessary. A company must have a data analyst person who can identify the figures and the patterns, who can basically make you a report that what data it is basically what this data can be interpreted as, because it's not we can say straightforward to just see spikes and lowers and come to know that this much stock should be there. There should be a proper we can say an audit report of it. So then it's we can say completely useful for a business. So I have implemented this as a prototype model, and I'll be improving this because this library has much potential. I have not seen this implemented in Odoo, so I tried that. Let's try how it performs in Odoo. This charting has been done in Chart.js, which is another library, and if like the view is custom Odoo view, I've implemented custom view for this. So again, if you are interested in technical questions, then I can basically show you the code snippets, else we can have the Q&A directly. So last but not the least, I'll say about my company, and then basically we can have Q&A sessions. So Pragmatic is a decade-old service provider in Odoo and customizable software applications. It is located in Pune, which is in India, which is now heart of IT hub after Bangalore. Because Bangalore is major IT hub, all the major development centers are in India, Bangalore. So we take Pragmatic is always since it's a decade-old company, it has worked on all Odoo versions. So it has implemented, it has done custom migration, support services, and basically it's going good. So basically, these are our features. If you can see, the Odoo services which we provide: customization, installation, configuration, consultancy, training, support, and upgradations. We basically have delivered projects in all geographies, and basically we have support. We have given support for all geographies as well in their time zones. So our success, just little bit our information. We have success packs. You can hire a full-time developer, a part-time developer as such, and basically a success pack includes developer, a business analyst, and a project manager to better understand your requirement. Basically, if you want, you can just have the ID of Pragmatic Sales. So let's start Q&A. If you have any questions or doubts, you can basically ask like why this is implemented, or what is a major use case, or if you want to share a use case with me, then probably I can help you much better in terms of how a customized solution can fit into your use case. Yeah.
What is the volume of data that you need to have some real trends?
So
for restaurants, is that doable? Is that enough? Or
the restaurant revenue, are you talking in terms of restaurant revenue?
Can you repeat the question so we can...
Yeah, sure. So basically the question is like how much data is needed in order to have the predictive analytics. So I can say that you should at least have thousands of records in terms of I mean in thousands of terms, like it should be more than 10,000. That's a benchmark which is having. We should have at least more than 10,000 records in order to predict a good model which can have good value. Okay.
What would the definition of record be in that case?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
You said you need at least 10,000 records.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a restaurant and I sell stuff, what would then be the definition of record? Would it be 1 day?
Yeah, no. Basically it can be the earned money which the business get from the end selling. So that can be considered as a transaction or as a complete record, because we don't need individual entries. So basically we can have cumulative entries from a day, because that's completely doable for a restaurant business. They'll be having maybe millions of records. That's not an issue. So in terms of that, basically if you have good data, you can have good outcome out of that. Less data, it's unpredictable, and that's proven from the benchmarking of these models. Is there any other question which, yeah, sure.
Can prediction be done in real time?
In real time, that's near real time. That's an interesting question. Actually, what I have implemented here is, since I had small data, because I can't get real transaction data because it's a customer's property, and we can't expose it for our use. So I have used dummy data which was available on net, okay, and that data was limited. So basically, like after clicking on focus button, which I have shown, it is doing the analysis in real time. Okay, so can we discuss this later, because time has stopped? Okay, sure. So surely we can have discussion outside. Okay then, thank you all of you for having come.
I am Aaron from Efficient in Barcelona. I am technical consultant there, and we have developed this RMA application for Odoo. We presented this application last year, and we would like to show the new features we added, and also for the ones that didn't see this presentation last year, to show how it is done in Odoo. So first, you need to know where to grab the application. It is in the Efficient repository, which is the repository for the company. It's a stock RMA. There's a repository stock RMA in Efficient for that. And if we go here, we will see that there are several modules for the basics. You may need an RMA account for shipping and for delivering and for refunding. That is fine. But then if we need more complex flows, we will need all of them to repair or to invoice the customer for the repair when it will need the RMA sale, for example. Okay. 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 As you may know, the RMA application is complex because it relates many parts inside the company. It not only involves the people that attends the call with the customer, but also the people at the warehouse that they receive the parts, also the sales when we need to quote the customer for the reparation in that case. Also, if we repair and we need to buy some components for the repair order, also the purchase people is affected, and of course the repair and the manufacturing team and any employee, because at the end we can manage with this application the internal RMAs. So all of that complexity needs to be managed in a simple way. So at the end, what we wanted is to gather all of this and put it all together in an object called operation. And we can define operation according to the flows in every company. So there is a configuration step called operation where we define all the flows we have in our company for the help desk, for receiving, for shipping, for refunding. So so it is quite flexible at the end, but simple because there's just one object. So once everything is configured, the user just need to know what operation is performing. Okay, so this year we want to focus on the repair module, and here we have some examples of some flows. Of course, this may change between companies, but this is an actual flow we have taken from a customer. So as you can see, even a warranty repair, which is very simple and the flow is simple, there are many steps. Send the RMA number to the customer, receives the RMA, receive the product, and then generate the repair order once we know the product is under warranty. Then we repair, and we need to notify the people that is in contact to the customer to generate the delivery order. So the guy here at the warehouse knows he is going to deliver, and who is going to deliver, and he needs to know it's an RMA. For no warranty repair, it may get a little bit complex, because we may quote the customer because we need him to pay before we accept the RMA, and also after we receive and we regenerate the repair order, we may also invoice here in this step before doing the repair. Invoice mean quote the customer, so until he is not paying, we will not perform the repair. Okay. And also for internal RMA, and the employee needs to contact the specific person for that, and he will send the RMA number to the employee, and then the employee needs to do the internal move to the repair location to perform the reparation. So the RMA, the tech support people, will create the transfer, and the people in the warehouse in charge of that, we will send it back to the original employee. Those are examples, and we can change those flows, but that is not a problem, because this is all configurable in operation, and in operation we try to gather all the flows. So I will switch now to an Odoo instance in order to show to you. Okay, this is the RMA, customer RMA for view. Okay, in first place we have the customer here, and then we need to select the product. So we select here, for example, SAP, and the product. So here we have 3 options to find the original invoice or original quote. If we type here, we will see that there is no results, because it is already filtering by the customer and the product. But if we can, if there are some results, we will see here the invoice number, the quote, the product, and the quantity, and the invoice line. So it is easy to track. So just typing here, and it will appear. Okay, we will continue from here, because it is not needed an original document. For some reason the quote is not in our system, maybe because we started with Odoo before selling, and we have a very long warranty program, or maybe we just accept no warranty reparations, so we can continue with that. Okay, this is the key field. The operation here. We have defined some, for example, repair no warranty and repair under warranty means to follow the flows I showed to you before, but basically what it does is to guide the users to the next operation. So, for example, if we select here repair under warranty, you will see that all the policies here are selected. Normally, we will have a same policy for the same product, and we can configure the default operation in the product. So as soon as we selected the product here, everything here is selected. This operation will change the policies if we expect to receive first, then to repair. Maybe we expect to create a quote before repairing, or even before receiving. And it will also set up all the routes inside our warehouse. So here we have an inbound route and an outbound route, and we here specify where to receive and where to ship, and maybe we can define, as you probably may know, some push rules across our warehouse to ship from the RMA location to a specific repair location, but this is all configurable. What is important here is the user, the tech support user doesn't need to change this. This will all set up automatically. He only needs to know this is a repair and warranty. Under warranty, and maybe we have different kind of repair and warranty, but then he needs to know what kind it is. So everything here is configured in the configuration process. So this is before going live into production. So for example here, we don't expect to quote, and we expect to repair based on received quantities, so that is cool. And we expect to deliver on repair quantities, so it is easy. Okay, we are going to approve. As you see, the approve was automatically because we configured that in the product that we only need one approval step for this product, maybe because this is not very valuable product and everything is auto-approved. Anyway, we need to belong to the RMA manager group in order to have this approved automatically, even for those products. Okay. Okay, this is approved, and we know we are going to receive it. As long as the policy is properly set, the Odoo is telling me we need to receive one. If I am making a mistake, if for example I'm creating a delivery here, it will tell me, okay, I am expecting you to deliver nothing, so probably something is going wrong. But anyway, you can change the quantity here. Maybe some exception occur, but the Odoo will never avoid you, prevent to do nothing. He will just give you the proper information in order users to know. Okay, I'm creating the incoming shipment, and for the tech support user is enough. Okay, the people. I'm now the warehouse user. I'm going to filter here for the RMAs to receive. Okay, I go every morning. I have some boxes on the gate, and see there is some tag I send to the customer, and this is in the box. So I can, maybe I have here several lines, and I can search here by the element number, and I will see, okay, this is expecting an RMA. So I'm going to the RMA and just receive it. Okay, from my side this is fine. And now the tech support people or whoever is in charge will filter here the quantity to repair. Quantity to repair. Quantity to repair is greater than 0. Okay, we need a filter for that. So I'm a repair, I'm a tech support user, so I will set this as default, for example. So I just perform the repair. So I create the repair order, and we just create the repair order. There are some news here. We have created repair teams. This is because we may repair in different locations, but we don't need to change the location here in the repair order. This is coming from my team. And also, we have introduced the repair type. This repair type will set the source of the raw material we are going to use for the components. Why is this for? This is useful for accounting. Maybe because we want to account for making difference between warranty or no warranty repair, and so we can set up different locations where to fetch the product and where to ship. But for now, we just ship from stock to the repair location, and we just consume. Okay. Our product, we analyze it, and there is some buffer that is broken. You see, there is we expect to fetch the component from stock and to send to a specific location. This will hit a specific account if we configure it properly. Okay. Okay, so we start repairing, and we repair. Okay, so everything is okay. This is for accounting. Managers, and there's a cool tool here where we are to see the accounting move. But we are not going to go inside that now. We are going back to the our RMA, because we are the guy at the warehouse again. So we filter here for the RMAs to deliver. Okay, there are several RMAs to deliver. Oh, and those two goes to the same partner. So we group here and send it in the same picking. Okay, so I am the tech people now again. So again I go to the document. I see here that I have received everything. I have not delivered yet because I created the consignment but didn't ship. So, and it's repaired. So I do nothing. But imagine the guy at the warehouse confirmed the outgoing shipment. Then we just set it to done. And this is manual because we may require some next step. Maybe the customer complains. So this must need be a manual step. So to sum up, this the RMA must coordinate all the people involved, but the people involved shouldn't know what is inside. So they only need to know what are the policies inside the company, and they need to know what is the operation they perform in the company. So this is really cool. Then customizing the filters depending on the kind of user will help to process massively RMAs without going one by one. And also what is cool here, we introduce here stages on the RMA. It may be useful for example, if we need to follow up with the customer, there is no specific action to do but follow up with the customer. So we may create a new stage here, and then if everything is delivered, we can move to follow up with the customer. So this is maybe very useful also for tech people, for tech support people. So basically, we define operation. In the operation, we define all the flows and the repair, the different repairs we have in our company. We have also a specific menu for operations, and we have here all the policies and the repair type. And we can here specify the accounting, specify the location, so we can account differently for the different kinds of RMA. So as said before, this is free open source, and you can find the application in here in Efficient's stock RMA repository. You can download the code, try, and just use it and provide some feedback here. We may extend if there is some good feedback to this model. So we are free. We are eager to improve this application. Okay, thank you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, as long as we have time. Yes?
I think I saw the button, but just to be sure, it's possible to send it to the supplier if I can do the repair myself?
Yes, but there's a specific menu for that. So there is a field in the RMA which is called cal type, and it is for suppliers RMA. You mean to return to vendor?
The customer sends it to me. I can't help him, so I forward it to the supplier. Is this linked?
Yes. There is a. I didn't explain it. Well, I cannot set it to draft, but I will create a new one. There is a. I need to set the operation here. Repair. So advance refund, for example. We request approval, and we can create supplier RMA from this part. Maybe because we bought from the supplier and then just ship it. Maybe because the suppliers ship it directly to the customer. There is an option. I didn't explain it because maybe it's too much. There's an option here, and we can configure in the operation also, where to specify the supplier's location address for the customer. So the customer send it to the supplier directly, maybe because the supplier just send it to the customer. So and then as soon as we create the supplier RMA, you see that the quantity here proposed was 0 because it was not supposed to be a dropship. Okay, it's linked here. And from the supplier, the customer RMA is linked to the supplier and so on. Okay. Any yes?
Does it link in any way to quality or like fault codes or ones?
Currently, it's not linked, but that is very interesting. I think, yes, as a next step, we can link to quality, perhaps also to help desk application also, as a previous step of creating the RMA. Yes, I think in the next version we may integrate this application with the help desk, maybe with maintenance too. Yes?
Is it linked to the timesheets at all?
No, still no. At the end, we noticed that people maybe there was too many changes. So this is a new application. So we want them to get used to this before reporting time in the repair order. But of course, we can report time in the repair order. We can implement that. I mean, and we can account account according and invoice the customer according the time they spend.
Exactly.
Yes.
Including the extra material that I had.
Yes, yes. In fact, we implement that, but we experienced that people were not very kind to fill the timesheet there. So we will think about that.
If you have questions, maybe you can last name afterwards.
So we run out of time, so just feel free to ask outside. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see.
Next one we have.
everybody. So, like every year, I think I'm speaking always just before the barbecue time, so thank you for your patience, and that's maybe why you are not so numerous. So, a few words about, I'm going to talk about our LIMS system, Laboratory Information Management System, and some integration that we are doing available in our system. A few words about, if it works, about my company. So we are a Belgian-based partner. We are two partners within the company. We also have a team of project manager and of developers. Part of the team is specialized in laboratory management system. So Logicasoft does exist since 2008. We began with working with SAP system, in fact. So we joined Odoo in 2013. We began developing the LIMS 5 years ago in 2014. We are also active with Hemasphere system, which is a financial dashboard, and also a little bit with Alfresco electronic document management. In 2016, we were gold partner of Odoo. So our project, so maybe and probably due to the fact that we have a very vertical application in Odoo, which is the LIMS, so we have applications all over the world. So our big customers are in Asia, also a big one in Saudi Arabia, some small labs in New Caledonia, also Mauritius Islands. So if you want to become a project manager, so we have good destinations if you want to join the team. So we have experience of more than 50 ERP projects, both SAP and Odoo projects. So our scope of activities, we are not doing only LIMS, so we work with the classical manufacturing module. Je peux peut-être un autre. Okay. Do I have a... Yes, looking for present. So, I can present anyway during the... I'm refreshing the page. So we have experience in with manufacturing companies, for instance, printing companies, or also in construction companies. We have experience in research and development. Sorry. Let's try to reload it. This way, maybe. No. Okay. Very lucky. So we have experience, and let's go ready to Odoo then. We have experience also in R&D centers, laboratories. We work for beer makers. So maybe you are going to drink a beer made with Odoo tonight. We have also experience in the food industry. We also make verticalization for the pharmaceutical industry because, okay, Odoo is fit for the pharmaceutical industry, but in fact you have also a lot of efforts to make when you want to go to manufacturing process, especially in pharma industry, because you have to validate. You have a very stringent rules called FDA for CFR Part 21 and so on that you have to respect. And so we also work for engineer offices. So, is it coming back? Nah, no. The purpose of the presentation was, no, it's also to talk about integration, because big thing with Odoo is like when you buy a car, for instance. Okay, it's normal that it has wheels, maybe even air conditioning, and so on. And so it's funny now because when you meet with a lab manager, they say, okay, the limbs should work normally, but now they want a lot of other stuff around the main functionalities of their limbs. And I think then that for that, Odoo is probably the best product on the market for the moment because it's very easy to integrate. You have a lot of different kind of labs on the market. You have third-party labs, so they just receive samples, they want to make analysis, but maybe they want a CRM. I think Odoo is the only one in the world to propose a CRM. They want to manage their HR, they want to manage their stock of reagents and so on, so everything is embedded. You also have hospitals, but you have very easily, you can add a link with the patient become a customer. So you have the whole history of the patient. You can link, we work a lot with utilities, so they have a lot of, for instance, drinking water utilities or gas utilities, so they have a lot of sampling points. So it's easy to add some models in Odoo to allow to have history of sampling points in the system, but also to make sampling tour, and even recurrent sampling tour. It's also very easy to integrate with the maintenance equipment module in Odoo. So you have a very logic base of, you have an asset, which is a water tower. In the water tower, you have sampling points, and then you can make analysis on it. And what we are working also, because we think it's very important for a lot of manufacturing companies, is also to integrate with the manufacturing of products, because a lot of companies, they manufacture, then they have to make quality controls, and sometimes even the quality controls, they have to have a green light regarding the quality control before putting the product in the right warehouse, and so on. And so the example here about linking with last call for Prezi, but I think it's not going to work anyway. I hope Odoo is working. If
you have the internet, maybe it's because
looks that yes. So let's go just to yes, it seems to. Okay, so the last and the slides were to show you that it's very easy to link with a patient, with a water tower, with products and so on. But let's go to the product and then a short demonstration of the limbs itself. So the idea of this customer, they make probiotics, so it's bacteria, but beneficial for your health. So one of the main difficulty there was not the limbs itself, not but you see it was here with the unit, the concentration of the product, because it's a very specific way of manufacturing product, because in fact when you produce bacteria, you don't know the concentration you will obtain at the end, and the concentration that you obtain at the end will have a big influence on the quantity of final product that you can make, and so on. So we had to manage that in the system, so it was a lot of work. And then the customer said, okay, I want something fully integrated. I don't want to have the production on one side and then to have to take a sample, to encode the sample in another system. After the realization of the analysis, then we have to print the certificate. If everything is okay, then we have to load the certificate in the other system, because in fact the good thing is if you integrate everything, you can even put the result of the product on a product lot, and you can put the certificate on the portal for your customers, so they can even come and have automatically the portal. So what we did, we didn't use the quality control module because it was not the purpose to have a quality check, but we are thinking of it. The purpose was not to have a quality check that with a pass or fail, because we don't want to block the production. If you have a problem with such a production, the purpose of the quality is not to block it, but maybe to put it into quarantine for a while, and then when everything is okay, then you can move your product to the right stock. And so, in fact, we worked by configuring the here on the type. I'm sorry, I let it in operation types, I let it in French. The other part is in English. And so in fact, we make here an adjustment, so saying that when we have a stock move, so we are working on a stock move, because anyway, if you have raw product, when you need your raw product for the production, you take the raw product from the warehouse and you go to the production line. And so we are making, rather than the quality controls, we use the product move to create the analysis. And we did the same on the product. So we have a configuration on the product. So I don't know if I'm going, certainly not one of these. Produit fini, sorry. So we have also a configuration on the product. And on that configuration, we have a LIMS tab, and we can decide that this product is going to be allowed to create an analysis. So we have a LIMS for analysis, and then we can say, okay, because in the lab we work with matrix, and then we work with parameter groups, and so we say, okay, for when we produce this product, which is, for instance, the finished product, then it will allow to create an analysis. So how it works, if you have a production order, so you have your stock moves and so on, so you have all your ingredients, what you are going to need and so on. And so you can decide when you have a product which is allowed to make an analysis, so it will allow this button that allows you to create an analysis. And especially also on the finished product, you can decide to create an analysis. So for the moment, in the dev, it's only one click, the analysis is created. We can add also the lot of the article and so on, and then we have the test to perform. The system will calculate a lot of things, but I will make a short demo in another one after that, but we know what we have to test. And then for those who know a little bit LIMS system, I can tell you it's a full LIMS system with a lot of flows, with a lot of controls of the flows, because in fact in a lab, usually when you need a LIMS, okay, it's not a simple or even an advanced Excel, because you have a lot of stringent rules that you have to respect. A lot of labs, for instance, have to be accredited. So you have the ISO norm, ISO 17025, or you have other norms also for biological lab. And especially there are new versions of these norms with a lot of requirements regarding IT system in laboratories. And we are also working now with a big lab in France. And so here the purpose will be to have a certified version of the LIMS, so with the FDA rules, but it's time consuming in fact to do so, because every transaction, every screen, every field in the system has to be validated. So how it works basically when you make an analysis, so let's go to this system. So again, it's almost barbecue time. Maybe you are going to have something to eat, I hope. Probably something to drink. So let's imagine that we have a requirement from the Odoo Developers Care Center, and they want me to check if, I don't know if you are going to have tuna salad for the Odoo developers tonight, so I know it's processed food, and I want to check if it is okay microbiologically speaking. So the system does not automatically create the analysis, because labs, they don't want that. When they are talking with a potential customers, they want to make a quotation. They want to know that, are we going to receive a sample? But as you see, I don't have yet a sample, because maybe I'm not going to receive it if the customer is not in agreement with my quotation. So in just one click, you can create the sale order. You can print, confirm, and so on. You know that well. If the customer confirms, why not on the portal? So if I go back to my request for analysis, automatically it is accepted, and I have a new button which allows me to create the analysis. The system is asking me a few questions: the date, what kind of analysis, and so on. The temperature at the reception, let's say 14. This is not a good indicator because it's too hot for a salad, a tuna salad. So maybe we are going to have problems with this. So now I have one analysis with one test, only one parameter to be quick in the system. So now I go on the technical side of the lab. I'm receiving the sample. So the system, if I don't do it, will ask me what was the sampling date of your sample, and depending on what you did and so on, you can have a lot of information. This is a demo system. We have, in fact, not one LIMS module. We have 44 different modules depending on the needs. So if you need LIMS product, LIMS research and development, and so on, LIMS care, and so on. But then everything is automatic. So I just have to say, okay, the sample is received. It's in the to-do mode. And so at the reception, I did my work, except for canceling and so on. I can do nothing else. And so it's in the to-do mode. So I can go to the test. I am the technician. I see I have a test to do. I take it. I put it in the whip mode. And I can encode my result. So there is a problem there, a little bit too much bacteria. So the system calculates automatically that, okay, it's done. And it's in red because it's not conform. You cannot afford so much E. coli in tuna salad. So, and there is one thing, but it's maybe too short to show. We have also a new module. So usually a lab, and it's very interesting when you have products for manufacturing. In fact, you remember I had one test with one parameter to perform. But I configure the system to say, okay, if this test is positive with a level, I can set that as I want. I can tell the system, okay, now you need a new analysis for the confirmation of the problem. So, okay, and also just very quickly, if I edit, but this is typical for a LIMS system, I say I made a mistake, it's more than that because of typing mistake. The system will ask me the reason, but for the sake of the demo, it's not activated here. And so if I click now on the result, I have all the information of who did the change, when, what was the old value, and the new value. This is a requirement for accreditation, for instance, and for pharmaceutical labs also. So I can validate my results. But if I now go back to my sample, I have two tests, because I have a new test to perform for the confirmation of the problem. And it's not E. coli anymore, then it's a very dangerous one, E. coli 100, and the second connector is out. No? No, okay, let's go quickly then. So I can say, okay, I do this test, I edit, the problem is still there, I save, and again it's not confirmed, so I can validate. The whole test is not confirmed, of course, and I have information because as I set a very short time to perform the analysis, the system will tell me, for instance, that I'm out of time. I have a link with the request, of course, just because I said everything was okay. I have all the tests received, but I have also very good information. You remember I changed one result, and I have here the Boolean automatically true because I changed a result, so the lab manager knows that on that analysis somebody changed something, and if I want to see what, I just have to scroll and I see that this was changed, in fact. So I can now just have to check something because, okay, validated, and now I can go back to my analysis, make the second validation. We have 3 levels of validation because for accreditation it's almost mandatory, but we have also a mechanism that allows you not to validate. In fact, we can bypass everything, not very recommended, but we can bypass. And now I have also a button with create report, and this will allow me to create a report. We have also a lot of mechanism behind that to validate the report. If you change something, if you try to change something after a report is validated, the analysis is locked. In fact, so you are not allowed. If you want to change the analysis, you have to cancel the report, change the analysis, create a new report, and the new report will automatically say this report cancels and replace the former report. And also by configuration, We have a lot of possibilities. Okay, you remember I have a parameter. I can set in the system that if that parameter is not conform, I can create a new parameter. But I can also set on any parameter very specific messages saying, okay, if you have this level of non-conformity, you will say, okay, it's not conform, but it is okay, not a very big problem. But here we are talking about the Odoo Developers Care Center. We are talking about their tuna salad, and so we can also do some parameterization in the system to give specific messages regarding the non-conformity. So I think I'm just in time. In time for the question or for the beer. Or the tuna salad. If you dare.
I just have one small question. When I create an analysis and I receive it for the tests, it creates a stock move and enters it into the system. Excuse me.
Okay, so the question is, when you receive a sample, a lot of labs, they want to store the sample, and then why not have a good traceability of where it is? And it's not in this system, but yes, we can also link the system to stock moves, because a sample is a product in that case, and then, okay, but it's a lot of clicks, but yes, it works. It depends on what kind of labs. Our customers in Asia, they need that because they receive toys, they receive clothes to test, and so they don't want only the flow of the analysis, but every item received is then linked with the warehousing system. It's very easy in Odoo, but again, it's just a link to make with your sample with the warehousing system. In a classical LIMS, you have to develop for months to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
So, is there any feature for device integration?
Yes. In fact, we have, I don't know if it is installed here, we have an EDI module. Okay, and so of course, if you have so the question was, is there any connection with instruments? Sorry. So there is an EDI module. It's very simple to set. When you have an instrument with a lot of parameters, you just have, when you finish or whenever you want, to create a text file or XML, CSV, or an Excel sheet. Then we have a specific mapping in the system, just saying, okay, nitrates are going with the nitrates, cadmium is going with the cadmium, and then we put that on a specific folder, and every 10 minutes, Odoo is looking if there is a new folder to encode automatically the result in the system, if it was the question. It's okay?
Okay, so there is no direct syncing between the device and this the application?
No. For the moment, no. So there is no direct link for the moment with the instruments, because it's in fact, you normally need that only for very big biological labs. For classical labs, it's a waste of time, because yes, the system it's very easy. You can receive those samples, so then you create a batch. You send the batch to the equipment. It's very simple. But then there is a drawback, not with Odoo. Huh? There is a drawback with all the LIMS. You have to be very careful, because the system is giving you the exact order of the samples in the machine. You must be very careful when you put the samples not to make a mistake. So our classical customers, they say, no, we just need something to encode the result, not something to send the batch to the equipment.
And keep track of location.
Yeah. Yes?
Is it possible to have a report, like a KPI graph of one parameter for the same customer? Like
yes, we are again not in. So, is it possible to have a historicization of parameters with customers or whatever? In fact, so I didn't show you. So, if I go back to my tuna salad, let's go there to just have access to the product. Come on, very good internet today. Okay. Okay, so And we can make that link with products, with assets, with whatever you want. So you have all the history of the analysis, you have all the results, and I didn't prepare any filter, but if you click on all the results, you just have to go but you have to make a filter to have only one parameter at a time, and then in Odoo you have a nice graph view. You just have to click on the graph view, and then you have the history of your sample. What we did also, but this is mainly for utilities, if you want even to be quicker than that, in the limbs, but it's not installed here, just showing you where the button is, and you have result here. We have another button here which is a graph view, and so you just have to click on that. It's very useful when you have to validate an analysis and you have a doubt. You say this is not normal, it's not looking like usual. So we have two mechanisms over there. So you have to click on just one graph view, and then you will have 10, 15, 20 last parameters on that product, sampling point, whatever you want. But it's time consuming to configure. We can configure also product by product the plausibility values. So if you are used to analyze always the same product coming from the same customer, so normally there is a range of value that you think where it is normal. I'm not talking about non-conformity. So you can set also in Odoo a plausibility value, and if it is out of these values, again there will be a warning saying, okay, this is not normal. This is not the usual values that we have with that product, patient, sampling point, or whatever you want.
Thank you.
I have another question. No, two. Beer time. Okay.
Sorry. No, you first. No worry. So you showed us in the limbs that if a value is changed, you need to keep track of the previous values.
Yep.
Is it for every field of the limbs model, or just for key results?
Okay, so the question is about the tracking of the changes in the limbs. So in fact, we track with a lot of visibility some fields. Okay, and especially fields in the change of validation, change of dates, and so on. And for the ease of navigation, we track the main changes, for instance, in the message IDs of Odoo. So for the result, we have a special table. And for all the rest, because it's extremely important, we have the tracking module in Odoo. So but it's huge. Huh? It's some customers, they have millions of entries in their tracking, but everything is tracked then. And you can decide to track who is reading something, because if you use Odoo for patient, it's important to see who took a look at this patient, because in some hospital you are not allowed to look at the patient card if you are not the doctor of the patient. So we can track everything: access, write, delete, creation, and so on. So everything is tracked basically. Yeah. I think it was first.
I'm very concerned about analytical code for check the cost of laboratory instruments. It is on the LIMS module?
It is one of the 44 modules. And then we use activity-based costing principles to track, but you have to encode how many milliliters of reagent you use, how much time you spend on it. But we have a module for that. It's not something that you should use all the time, but maybe for 3 months you use that module, then you have a good determination of your prices, in fact. But it's one of the 44 modules, but I didn't install everything here. We have a special tab, but the system automatically anyway determines the price. On every pack of parameter you can set a price, on every parameter you can set a price, and of course this is not the analytical accounting tab, but we have all the costs associated, but this is mainly to invoice. But we have another module where you encode everything you use, how long, and so on, and then you have the cost based on activity-based costing.
Perfect.
Il y avait une question derrière toi. Yes?
Yes, so for me, I'm curious about the audit.
we use yes, in our hospital. And in the short time, when we were tracking the records, it was over 23 million rules we generated in maybe half a month, maybe 2 weeks, and it slowed down our Odoo instance. We had to remove the tracking. So how do you manage that? Because that's a lot of records, information that's generated.
Well, for the moment, we have some customers with some millions of records, it's okay. But at one time, you have to purge. So, but you can define rules and to purge the system after 1 year, because yes, you are right, it's going to be huge. But you can also define rules to get rid of the tracking after a few months. But you can set rules as you want, because on some models it's extremely critical, on others less. You can do whatever you want, but you are right. If you activate the tracking on everything and even on the access, on the read, okay, you are going to have a lot of records. But this is typical, especially in hospitals.
You can also grow up the system. You can also cluster the system, the bucket.
But you can archive. Yeah. So you get rid of from the production, but you store the tracking in other tables.
Have you done anything like that?
Yes, but not in LIMS. But we would move on to another database.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something like that. Okay, we can do it.
And it is very accessible, because you move to a big table, but you can have a report on that table. But you keep in the live system, you keep maybe only 6 months, for instance.
So maybe it's interesting discussion. Another way to do it would be maybe to, at some point when analysis is finished, just print a PDF or make a validation so that now it's a certain date, nothing can change anymore because it's fixed. But you can,
once a report is validated, or you can choose, when a report is drafted, it's configurable in my system. So you choose, and when there is a report, the analysis is locked. You can unlock, but if you make modification, it will be in the tracking. Okay, but the system allows you but you can do whatever you want. In fact, you can choose not to lock an analysis. But by default, we say, okay, when there is a report on that, when it is finished, second validation, and so, okay, you can decide to lock it. But admin use or some users with enough access rules, they can unlock.
Yeah, but in any case, an administrator of the database can change.
In the database, yes, but this is not a good behavior. But with any systems, even with SAP, you can go directly to the database and modify, even in the accounting lines, if you want. But normally they shouldn't do it. We have customers where it is completely forbidden. And for instance, if you have somebody with knowledge to do so, they don't have access. If they want to have access, there is somebody else with the key of the system, open the door, and then they will check what he is doing. So it depends on your access rules, in fact.
Maybe we'll continue the discussion around the beer.
Thank you.